Hi everyone, Coach Alexa here. Um, there are lots of these little phrases, aren't they, that go around, almost sort of similar to old wives' tales. And one of them that I actually use quite a lot is don't run before you can walk. And there's a few reasons that I'd like to just explain as to why actually it's not a bad way of thinking about things when it comes to running training. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Quite a few colds and bugs and viruses and things going around at the moment. And it's actually a great thing to pay attention to, that little saying, when it comes to recovering from a respiratory infection. So if you're still a little bit breathless walking or going up and down stairs, or you don't quite feel 100%, going out for a half an hour or 40-minute walk, then it's not time to start running again. So make sure you've mastered walking when you're recovering from a bug of any sort before you start running again. And the same can be applied to injuries as well, can't it? If it's hurting while you're walking, or as I say, going up and down stairs, then we probably want to be really, really careful about restarting running. The other concepts that I think this saying can be applied to and it works equally as well, is when we're looking at making changes to our running. So if, for example, we're perhaps thinking about changing to more minimalist footwear, or maybe we want to breathe more through our nose and less through our mouth when we're running. And again, it's useful to actually practice these things while we're just around the house, and then while we're going out for a walk, before we then start implementing any of these changes while we're running. Running is a repetitive and very high impact sport, so it's much, much easier and much more sustainable actually in the long term in terms of habit formation to practice and introduce any of these new changes like nasal breathing, for example, whilst you're stationary, whilst you're working, whilst you're doing the cleaning, whilst you're going for a walk. And if you manage to tick all the boxes there, then introduce it into your running. And the same can be said for minimalist style shoes. If you're wearing particularly heels or, I guess, what men's dress shoes where the heels are very solid, but also slightly bigger under the heel than under the ball of your foot, still a good idea to train yourself up by wearing no shoes or minimalist shoes around the house and then walking outside before you transition them into your running. So actually, out of all these little sayings that still float around, don't run before you can walk has a pretty good amount of truth to it.